LSU's Olivia Dunne assigned bodyguard after a horde of rowdy boys mobs another gymnastics meet. Well, the culture war strikes again. What's going on, guys? Brandon here. So, if you haven't seen or heard of Olivia Dunne, then now you have. And she's a gymnast for LSU. She's a 20-year-old who makes a couple $1,000,000 a year through sponsorships, which the NCAA, which is great. Back 15 years ago when I was playing hockey at Michigan State, they didn't have this. No athletes could get paid. The NCAA is just a ridiculous, arbitrary governing body that it makes zero sense, as we could say about many governing bodies in this country for whatever reason. Just tons of bloat, tons of ridiculousness, and red tape, bureaucracy, and just decades of, just kind of just existing just because they have. And Olivia Dunne has millions, obviously, of followers here, as you can see, millions and millions of followers on Instagram, TikTok, about 10 million, probably across all our platforms plus. And she makes, like I said, over $2 million a year here, has a bunch of different sponsors, top female paid college athlete, probably more than most the boys too at this point. And speaking of boys, this is where the culture war strikes, as we have simping, which is a term that's thrown around all the time now. And again, as an athlete growing up, I was pretty fortunate. I was a pretty big guy. I was about this size, 6'1", 215 when I was about 18 years old after I was playing at USA. So, pretty good sized dude. So I didn't have to be sitting at a cage like this waiting for some random girl on social media to come out. And again, social media, yeah, it wasn't around a ton, though it was. Facebook just started right when I was getting into college. So you have people that were literally scared, because there were so many simps around and so many just interesting young boys there, I guess. I guess we call them boys nowadays. So it was just, I'm embarrassed. It was cringy. It was disturbing. People felt threatened. All this stuff kind of says a little bit about both sides, to be quite honest. Like, if you're scared of these dudes sitting here yelling at people, again, I guess they were saying stuff to other people, whatever. But again, this goes back to the culture war. This goes back to where the parents, raising people, both parents, a mom and a dad, raising children to be good, upstanding people, raising boys to be good, upstanding citizens, and being the rock, being the fortress, being a backbone of society. And these things, for whatever reason, now the couple of sentences I just said just there, are controversial nowadays. But again, this is what leads to stuff like this. So we live in a society where the Ayn Rand, where you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of reality. People want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have this society where there's no men, there's no masculinity. But then when there's a bunch of simp boys sitting here screaming at this little 20-year-old girl, then people are like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, what kind of culture we created? No one's saying that, actually. No one connects those two things, apparently. And again, this is what happens when you have destroyed the society. When you have decoupled the currency, everything, all the roads lead back to Bitcoin. All leads road back to taking God out of society, and number two, destroying the money. And again, our Soviet friends, they knew this. At the end of the day, they knew this, and they were the ones who have been architecting this and designing this for decades, destroying the family culture. And I've done this video, by the way. If you go back and look, I'll try to link to it as well. I did a video on the 50 points from the communists that they read into the congressional record. We had Representative Congressman here that read it into congressional record, saying, hey, this is what we're going to do to destroy Western culture and to destroy America from the inside out. We're never going to get you physically, kinetically, just the way America is positioned, geographically, the arms we have now, the citizenry, the way we can protect ourselves, the waterways, everything. It's just, it's impossible basically to attack us from the outside. But the inside, we can get tons of people over your borders. We can change your culture. We can destroy the family unit. We can destroy God and the church. We can destroy all these things and just melt you and cripple you and implode you from the inside. Now, is there anyone here watching this? A lot of these things are somewhat taboo to talk about. Now, is there anyone here that disagrees with what I just said. Truly, can you disagree with what I'm saying? And that those things haven't been happening, and that hasn't happened. When you look at the statistics of kids out of wedlock, number of marriages going down, the number of marriages ending in divorce, and the average age getting longer until people get married, the number of kids going down, the number of people coming across the border illegally. Again, we love immigration here. This is, all of us are immigrants. We love immigration on this channel. Freedom, right? We want freedom. We want to be able to move to another country if we need to at the end of the day, right? So we love immigration. We just don't like people not following the not the militaristic laws, but if you're not protecting the country and you're not locking your doors and safeguarding yourself, then how do you know who's what and who's who? And how do you appropriately have commerce going on? How do you incentivize people? When we have bad incentives, I'll show you the outcome, right? As Charlie Munger says, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. So if you're incentivizing people to have kids out of wedlock or to come over the border illegally or do things, now you're going to have those outcomes happen, right? It's kind of ironic how those things actually correlate, right? So again, you might wonder, again, how do we get here, Brandon? But again, these things, people being scared, number one, why are you scared of a bunch of little dudes, a bunch of little simps who are out here, again, are they going to Britney Spears concerts 20 years ago? Are these same boys out here yeah, I don't know, I just saw little girls going to those concerts back in the day, but now we have little boys whatever, fangirling, fanboying, stalking these people. So, what is it at the end of the day? If you were a boy that was truly, again, I can only go from how I grew up, but I hung around a lot of jocks, they're secure in themselves, they were confident, had a lot of self-esteem. The girls came to you. You didn't have to go chase down the girl and social media stalk her and show up at an event. Again, if you disagree, put in the comments. Let's battle it out a little bit. But this is it's a fascinating expose in our culture and what's happening. All roads lead to Bitcoin at the end of the day and fixing the money. God returns back to our lives, and really that's humility at the end of the day. Humility, understanding that I'm not the end-all be-all. I'm not the center of the universe. I am anything but the center of the universe. That's what God is at the end of the day. That's believing in a higher power. If you don't believe in a God, that's at least believing in a higher power, saying I'm not the end-all be-all. So next is money. Those two things. You correct those two things, boom, society immediately starts healing. I mean, you're talking a month, 6 months, life is 100% different, completely 180 degrees. So just want to leave you with those thoughts, and let me know what your thoughts are. I'm really curious. I like to try to go with nature's law, and the Ten Commandments, nature's law, thermodynamics, physics, math, science, those basic concepts, things that don't really change. That's how I generally like to run my life and live my life. So let me know what your thoughts are. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Share if you got something out of it, someone that might need to see this. And again, I appreciate your time and energy. It's the most important asset we have, just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is time and time is Bitcoin. If you have a true sound money, God returns, and then a true sound money, then these things start healing. Again, then you maybe don't have a random gymnast making $2 million a year, or you don't have all kinds of, this is one thing I get with sports, and we've done a video on this before, but you don't have the social media. I shouldn't say that, and because making the money is fine. I don't care if the athlete's making money or not. That's not the point. But it's the social media companies, the amount of power they have amassed because of selling people's attention, because it was profitable, again, to do something that maybe not everyone agreed with, but they said, you know what, it's for the dollar though. It's for the almighty dollar. I'm doing something for money, for the love of money, doing something for the love of the earnings call coming up this quarter. And because of that, because the average person and the average company and the average person working in a company is so beholden to that dollar, to the earnings call, to the love of the dollar, the love of money, that they lose sight of what's going on. They are tracking people all over the internet. They're cooking them everywhere. They're, data tracking everything. They're in bed with the government now. Facebook and Twitter. The Twitter files expose all these things, right? We know this. We knew it, but now it's been confirmed. All these things are confirmed, and they're in bed with these agencies. So now the government is using the social media, using these companies to do whatever it is they want, and to do things that we only read about in books before. And it's only going to get worse unless good people stand up and say, and we fix the money at the end of the day. So that way you can't have these debt ceiling debates, these debt limit debates, all this stuff, all these nonsensical things, because that just takes care of itself. Because we have a sound money where people can't even go down that road. Because if you go down that road, you're bankrupt. The company bankrupt, the country bankrupt, gone, done. So it restricts you in the beginning, so you can't do it. You have to have good growth. Actual companies, only good companies survive. Only good, moral, ethical companies survive. And you're going to have bad things happen still. There's going to be things that happen here and there throughout life, because we're still human, but it starts taking away 80, 90+% of all the riffraff, because you have to be a good value producer and provider, or else you start slipping away in a true Bitcoin world, a Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinized world. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Appreciate you. See you on the next one.